Good afternoon, sir.
What
It's been a while. It's been a while. How
how
you
are you,
been?
man?
I'm not too bad. Just getting out of the midday heat. Uh, I
You-
say midday heat. It's just humid. The humidity has picked up last hour or so. So
Are you in DC area still?
yeah, just above the DC. Yeah, just
What
above DC.
what's the weather like there?
Today it is 84 and sunny.
Oh, that's not too bad.
That's
That's good.
great. It's great, but it's also August humidity, which is like,
Yep, I feel
but
that. It's
like
been
I mean, I'm complaining. I'm not really complaining because up until was it Friday of last week, it was like 95, high humidity, you know, no rain in 10 days kind of moment.
yep, I feel that. It was the same here. It was like sorry, let me put my thing on. Do not disturb. Yeah, it was like 100 degrees for months and months without rain. I was like, dang, we had to buy like a little hose attachment to water plants while we were gone. It's like this is
Wow.
crazy. So I'm glad it's fall. I like fall, you know?
I'm a fan of summer. I do like the summer. This is like my peak body time. I'm in that spot where I can just like walk out the house like, hey, you haven't exercised. Let's go ride 60 to 80 miles. Just ride. I'm in that kind of mood. September, October, I can do that, but I know how sore it's gonna feel when the weather when it hits that 50 and your knees go, guess what? You shouldn't have exercised that much.
That's like David Goggins mode. Like I'm gonna do 1,000 miles on a bike on a whim. It's like Forrest
I
Gump,
I
you
get I
know?
get I get my moments. I ought to be training for another long I say long ride. I did in with no prep, no training, no prep in March. I did a rails to trail that goes from York, Pennsylvania, down to Baltimore. And then I said, you know what? I live 20 miles, a 20-mile bike ride from Baltimore. I'm just going to keep going and ride home. And I got, you know, and I was mentally prepared for it, but physically my body was like, yeah. And then like the night before, we got a cold snap, so everything froze the night before. So I'm like, man, I can't leave as early as I want to. I gotta wait till things thaw out, right?
Oh my God. So how how many miles is that? How
I
long?
did I did 60 of the 75 miles.
That's
Uh,
nuts.
I couldn't do the rest. There's a city in this area, Ellicott City, that's literally in a valley. It floods out every 100 years, but every 100 years has been like every 5 years
Uh, yeah.
lately. And so it's one of those real deep valleys, and then you got to come out of the valley. And it's like, nah, I didn't think I was going to be able to come out of the valley. So
Well, you made it. Here you are.
yeah,
Like it worked. How many
yeah,
days were you laid up afterwards?
half a day.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't take. I mean, for me, and this is funny because we talk about all the fun tech and wearables and all. One of the things I've learned from all of the quantified stuff that I've been tracking is how I recover and
Interesting.
what recovery looks like for me on the harder days. So on that ride, and it's similar to my usual longer days on the bike. I'm doing 10% of what I did for that long day the next day. So if I did a 60-mile ride, I'm going out for 6 to 10 miles the next day,
Yeah.
just to spin the legs, just to move things around. It's
Yeah.
probably a yoga day also. So I mean, I'm doing all of the recovery things. I've got the compression sleeves for my knees and my ankles, to go. And I'm doing all of these things. And so I'm generally, within a day, I'm actually able to go back out and go do something again, go do the same distance again. So
That's
just
cool.
really,
Is it, do you feel like part of it is that like internal habit thing too, where it's like, oh, I'm supposed to get up now, and it's like I need to get on my bike, and this is the time of day where I do that thing, and it just
um,
like takes over.
I would say that's kind of more of a Saturday, Sunday,
Oh, Yeah.
kind of moment. So as a part of in the very beginning of lockdown, the very beginning of it hitting here, um, I stopped driving my car. I purchased the e-bike, and the e-bike was perfect for getting around. It was like the car doesn't got to move. I don't have to go to an office.
Yeah.
E-bike for everything. The car didn't move for the next 7 months.
Yeah. That's
It
good though.
legit didn't move. I mean, there was dust on it that like people like sell me, get rid of me, pick me up. It really didn't move. And so I ended up getting rid of the car, and which was, a dream car, but I wasn't driving. I wasn't going
Yeah.
anywhere. So I ride regularly. I'm a regular cadence of jumping on the e-bike or jumping on the Brompton. I'm always riding, but my riding is split almost 50-50 between riding for transportation, and riding for
Right.
recreation. And the riding for recreation bits, which was usually get out in the evening, early evening, like 4:30, right after the heat of the day, go out for a nice hour, 2 hours. So I go out for 15 to 20 miles. I call it chase the sunset.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
just go out and ride, get back, and I get golden hour on the way back. It's like a really meditative, contemplative bit. That's something that's kind of the scaled, the this is how I roll.
Yeah.
The weekend, it's, hey, let's go get 30 miles plus in the books and work off the week, get things off the brain, explore something I hadn't explored in a while. Um, and that's fun. That's just a fun ride. There's no speed or anything. It's just pick a direction. All right, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
I think last weekend was the wildlife refuge. There's a wildlife refuge about 5 miles away. So it was bike through the wildlife refuge, and it's miles and miles of gravel, fun, you know, fun. So it's go out and enjoy and take that off. So to that end, now it's scheduled, but it's not scheduled.
Yeah, I feel that. I think there's something to be said for that exercise. It like breaks loose thoughts and ideas that wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
ever come through, or like solidifies things and makes connections that you wouldn't otherwise. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's like some of the research we've done into connectomics, it really is, you have to embrace the fact that your body is part of your brain. Your nervous system is all a single functional unit. It's not like, oh, just the space between your ears is the part that does the work. Like I've even found, like we've done a massage and weird things will trigger during a massage, and I realized, well, it's like, yeah, someone's like literally poking your brain. It's just like in your side or your arm or something.
Yeah.
It's part of your brain, and you had like facts or insights or ideas like stored in your left elbow that you had no idea about. It's like, oh,
that,
there
that
we go.
yeah, that's the only intentionality of I think the intentionality is that I get in motion,
Yeah.
and I do regular motion. Like the evening, going out right before that 4:30, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock window. That's actually pretty regular for me.
Mm.
It's either I'm going for a bike ride or I'm going for a walk. I mean, it can be raining and I go for a walk. I don't really care. There's something about that
Yeah.
clicks. And it's not just like transition from maybe what I was working on, which went through an office life, because my office and my not office are 20
Yeah.
feet from each other.
Right. Life bleeds into one stream, right?
It does and it doesn't. So I thank you for chatting with you here. I'm on the work iPad.
You have,
I
really? You have two? You have a different device for each one?
had three at one point.
Really? Wait, what were the three? Like entertainment, work, and like just personal or whatever?
um, I started with two. I had basically that was the 12-inch dedicated to just work stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had an 11-inch that was dedicated to, I call it the evening weekend computer.
Yeah.
So because I don't do Mac, Windows.
Yeah, you're
I
iPad all
leave.
the way.
Yeah, I leave that for old people. Tablet only. So it happened. I had gotten the Pro, the 12-inch, and I got an 11-inch Pro, and was like, okay, well, for my birthday, I want to treat myself. I'm going to do the treat myself. So I did. I'm going to go for the 12 inch. When they come out with the brand new M1
Yeah.
Pros, I'm going to get the M1 Pro, spec it out where I want. I'm going to get it engraved. Da,
Yeah.
da, 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 da. So I did that, but they were having trouble, fulfilling orders quickly. I think it came out
Yeah.
in like April. I was like, yeah, we'll get it to you by June something. I was like, oh, I think I can wait. And it might have been like the middle of May. And I was like, I can't wait anymore. So I went out and purchased an 11 inch. The 11 inch came in like a week before the 12 inch did. So I
Oh
was like, oh,
man.
I got 11, a 12, and an 11. And it's like, oh, this is cool. I'm just going to just use all three. I'm just going to swap between all three of these. I'm literally just going to pick one up. I'm going to look like that scene in Star Trek: The Next Generation where they're just picking up tablets and
Yeah.
just working. This seamless. I'm going from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
However, there was a line, the 12-inch one, because I was doing federal work, federal and state work. I needed to make sure that I had a device that was, if you will, cold,
Right.
that wasn't as connected to items. So there were
Yeah.
certain apps, programs, connectivity that wasn't allowed on the 12 inch. It isn't allowed on the 12 inch.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very
easy
much
for
the work device.
security. Yeah, for
Just a,
sure.
it, I mean, it doesn't really need it per se, but I'm a little anal as well.
Well, like that compartmentalization too, like when I grab this one, okay, I'm in that mode.
Hmm.
It like changes your mode a little bit, which I think is super helpful in those scenarios where, yeah, I mean, it's like the whole thing. It's like what you're working on, who you're working with, like communication style, like expectations, requirements. It's just an easier transition. Yeah, super interesting. But yeah, I'm super curious to hear like because I know you've gone super deep in I mean all the wearables, like even the Snapchat stuff, like
Yeah,
like break
they
it down like a fraction for me. Like what did you learn after I mean you've been doing this for years.
Yeah,
Living
I've
it.
honestly had experiments for a long, long time, and they're all just experiments. I'm literally just exploring what's there, and
Yeah,
then I'm trying to ask a better question. I actually was writing in my journal today about just the article about that was testing touchscreens in cars and saying how crappy they were. And I'm like, well, yeah, but you don't put the same affordances on physical things that you do on virtual machines, and that means we weren't thinking about the interface properly. It doesn't mean it was designed wrong. And that's where wearables come in. It's like, okay, what about computing are we thinking about when we use these pieces? So for like the vision-based stuff, Snapchat spectacles, the Ray-Ban stories, the Bose ones, the View. I
yeah,
still got those as well. View glasses. It's like, okay, what are they actually augmenting? Obviously they're doing prescription glasses, handicap, if you will, disability help for vision. But then what about hearing or memory are they augmenting? Snapchat spectacles is for them, it's a half step to augmented reality or augmented visual reality. However, I think they went, the long way around by saying, okay, well, let's first augment your memory. Let's take the things that Snapchat does inherently well, you know, instant, ethereal, instantaneous kind of snap of what's going on,
mhm,
and let's give you a means of kind of playing that back and then maybe tweaking with your memory a little bit, tweak a little bit of what you think about it or how you think. For those folks that like to play with Lens Studio and the filters and all that in Snapchat, the glasses actually really they extend whatever about your memory or whatever about yourself that you want to express. And their upcoming spectacles, the new ones that look like meme glasses, actually, they're like the little whole glasses meme. They are pushing into the, okay, can we like actually augment the world in an active manner, not a passive, after the fact manner.
right.
Um, I think that, so for me that's been that part of that lesson. It's like, okay, how is it trying to augment my memory? And I generally wear my spectacles when I'm cycling,
Yeah,
which for me was, one of the rules of being pulled over by a cop, have a camera kind of moment. And it was like, but when you're riding, you don't want to sit down and pull out a phone. You want to
right.
capture the moment and then maybe relive it, or relive a piece of it that was fun, et cetera, et cetera. And that's where I think the spectacles really have been an aha moment. And hey, I can capture this right now. I don't really have to look at it immediately. I can come back and look at it later. Oh yeah, I remember riding this road. I remember, oh yeah, I saw that classic car as I was rolling, da da da. And I've got this memory vault of stuff. Uh, I might have a memory vault of falls because there might be a few. There are definitely a few flats that were kept by the spectacles. Definitely the flats, nails, and all that got me. So that's that part for the vision stuff. For the hand, wrist, that kind of stuff, Apple Watch or a NFC ring. That one is different. I see those more as physical tokenization.
What do you mean by that?
How do we, so the aura is in that line of quantified self, piece, but it's really like, how do you tokenize a piece of who you are? How do you not make it reputationally great, but what about it increases your value or your wealth, your value to self, your wealth to self? Aura has been good. It's been uncommonly good, and I think I'm still at the front of their user base, in terms of those folks that tried it early and keep going. And what they found, they did with the study with the WNBA, that was really dope. That improved across the board, improved their metrics for tracking women's specific health, which was freakingly dope. That was just dope. That was really dope. And then they did the COVID study with the University of California, San Diego, which was extra dope. Can wearables predict COVID? Which at one glance is like, yeah, why would you do that? At another glance, it was like, well, we already know that heart rate variability, body temperature are all signs of being sick in any way, shape, or form. Or a catalogs those. Is there a pattern to how you get sick with COVID versus how you get sick with the flu? There just happens to be a pattern. There's particular temperature variations and HRV drops, things that happen that are different between flu, common cold, allergy, COVID. Well, damn. Wait, do the other wearables do this? So Fitbit jumped in the study. I think Apple eventually jumped in the study. And well, what do you know? A wearable can kind of tell you that you're sick before you know that you're sick. You get a 2 to 3 day window of, hey, you should probably up your ginger intake. You're not feeling good. Go get some more sleep. You get those pieces where I'm like, yo, it's quantified self, but it's a token of yourself. It's like, hey, these particular things can add value to you. And if you're looking at it over time, to which I'm really glad the wellness tracking aspects are following a bit more what Aura and Sports Tracker have done, of getting people to look at trends over time instead of, hey, you just need 10,000 steps. You don't need 10,000 steps. Right. You need consistent movement. You need not to be idle every hour, da, 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 da. Getting folks to be able to look at things over time, hey, you didn't sleep good tonight. The next 3 days, you need to actually concentrate on going to bed on time, getting up on time, those kind of things are good. Those are society lifts. Those bring up, I think bring up everyone. And as different folks have talked about what works and what doesn't work from home, from a mental, psychosocial point of view, those tokens of wellness, I think, rise a little bit more. Are you sleeping? Are you disconnecting from work? Do you need to get the blue screen glasses? Da 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 da. All of those things. I think the finger wrist wearables have done a good job of calling into attention. And then I have one more, EOS. It's a payment ring. It's a ring that's payment enabled, which is freaking dope. You can pay for stuff with a ring. And it's like, why would you pay for stuff with a ring? Well, nobody carries spare cash, but you can put spare cash on a ring. I was like, damn, that's actually smarter than just having Apple Pay. Because if you just have Apple Pay and it doesn't work, but if you got spare cash on a ring, dude, damn, that works. That's the other ring. That one's not being worn at the moment since I'm home. But
wait, so how does that work? You just load it from your bank account, and then how do you pay? It's NFC
from just a tap. Yeah, tap with the terminal and PIN code and PIN that you set up. ESOS. Yeah, that's the company. It took me a while to find a US based company that was doing that. That was really difficult
Interesting.
to find that. But they're not selling the current version. Good job. It looks like trash. It looks like it looks like a piece of PVC pipe that you cut out of Home Depot and tossed it in your ring. As a kid, you would like doing that. It's like powering. As an adult, you're like, what is this big piece of non-ornamental?
Yeah. It's like, where is this guy coming from?
But then, in my circle of cafes that I visit, though, that's actually some of the questions that happen. It's like, okay, what tech are you playing with today? I'm like, oh,
Because I
I
just
might have the
know.
glasses on. I might have the
Here he
glasses. It
comes.
might be the ring. Yeah,
Yeah.
because what I think folks do recognize is that wearables offer a chance to actually own a little bit of that agency back. So where maybe your phone is now feeling a little bit more intrusive. I can't
Yeah.
help but have it. I can't help but pull it out. Um, you have a watch that ain't as busy as a phone. My watch is my dumb phone. So
Mm-hmm.
do I need a dumb phone or maybe a watch that's a phone? I've got rings that can pay for things or track things. Do I really need to carry the phone all the time for those bits? And it's like, well, no, I don't need that slab of glass, and I can still get some of the benefits of connectivity. And I think that's where wearables, you know, do the right thing. And there's probably a potential for more, and there's definitely a potential for more nefarious stuff because, with Aura, for example, it can 100% do gait tracking, which is one of those unique identifiers for who you are.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And gait plus temperature plus sleep means 100% know who these people are,
Yep.
and you
It
roughly
is.
know where they are.
Yeah.
So
That's the
things like
authentication system of the future is just your unique connectomic signature is the
mm-hmm.
because it's always changing all the time in terms of the vibration pattern. So you would have to sync it up with the real you who's still alive. So you can't like cut off a finger or like an eyeball from Mission Impossible. And
you
yeah.
can't, and that's where it's like cool but scary,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like yeah, is it? I think in some respects, yes, it's going that way, but it's also what agency do people lose when that happens? What's the opt out? Every time there's an economic shift, there's always an opt out. It doesn't mean it's liked, but there's always an opt out. So what would be the opt out in this case? And I don't really know, but it's fun to be on the edge of playing with it, to ask those questions, to explore. What does it look like to program my own ring so I have my own me, source
Mm-hmm.
of me in the ring, and whatever else happens outside or whatever else happens and changes with me is fine that it changes, but I still have source of me that's me. um, and then whatever state owns or private company owns, that's only a part of the story. It's not the story. It's not the Equifax. This is the Equifax because it's mine. Of bits. So
Yeah, I think I mean, like one of the reasons I do what I do is I think and you're probably the same. I mean, you tell me, but it's one of those things where if you are on the edge and you are one of the people building it, then being able to live out there, you can see the stuff that's going to come for billions of other people and then get around those problems because you're using it yourself. It's like, man, I don't want this. Like, why would some overlord like design that in? And then you can stand up and go, nuh-uh, no, this is not for me. This is not okay. And I mean, that's I always cite Tron, right? Like that key
yeah.
moment in Tron Legacy, which is I fight for the user, and then he like rammed his ship into the other dude, and then like the user is safely scarring by. It's like, yeah, we're out in the front, like taking shrapnel, so other people don't have to.
It is, and it's fun. It's a heck of a burden at times because you're like, hey, do I have to be doing this? Can I just fall back? My every 3 months, do I really not need to be on Facebook to keep up with everybody else? Kind
Yeah.
of moment. But it's like, okay, what's the cost? What's the cost of feigning ignorance if I know that there's another story in there? There's another thread in there to pull. Um, so it's fun. It's fun. And I'm somehow figuring out how to make a career out of the way this brain works with it. So it's a career life.
I think I think it's one of those things where if you follow, I don't know, whatever the voice is, that little thing of like curiosity, if you follow the curiosity, given a long enough time scale, the rest of the world catches up and becomes valuable. I mean, I remember even like 10 years ago, companies were like startups or like software. That's a decade. That's a blip. That's
It's
literally a blip. And now everyone's like, software, 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 gimme, 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 gimme. And it's just like, whoa. And so now there's just like a huge ram of people coming into the space. And it's like, that's great. But it's like, oof, you got to be careful. Like, so I think, I think you're in a great place because we're on yet another precipice where the whole wearables, the 3D computing, AR, VR, AI, blockchain are all coming together. And like eyes, ears, like wrist, fingers, like phone. I mean, we
all of
haven't
it.
even gotten into like the body wear stuff, like smart Nike gear.
Oh, I
And
mean, yeah, I mean that
it's
was
gonna be it's
all
gonna
that.
be
All of that's here.
wild.
All of that's here. And so it's interesting. Us as men, we actually have a really weird view of this as men because we're like kind of playing with this, and I truly mean we're playing with understanding this. But then if you talk to the ladies and you realize just how deep they already are with it, you wait a minute. So you're already doing temperature tracking. Da, 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 da. Pause. Help me understand why you do and don't share this.
Yeah,
Help me understand, what are the ethical questions that you have? I've got younger, godchildren and nieces and all who are between teen years. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the black book? The ladies have a black book. They have
right.
we don't give it. They have a black. I'm
Yeah,
like,
we
okay,
don't get
what
to
are the,
see in there.
yeah, I'm like, okay, but I'm like, but what are you being told about, how you connect with digital tools and connect with tools? What aren't you being told? I actually just tweeted on my personal tweet the other day because my best friend and my niece actually my niece was asking for Fortnite and Snapchat. And she's not quite that age yet. And I'm like, yeah. But at the same time, she's not that age. I was like, well, let me check. I'm like, not really sure. So I'm looking stuff up, and it took me forever to find Epic Games' parental controls, by the way, which was really not good.
Hmm.
That was really not good. And
I
then I
can see.
found it, and I'm like, wait a minute. You guys barter your information through this service, and I know where this, parent check, kid check service, I know where their data dump happens. Oh, hell no. I
Right.
shouldn't even be using these services.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, well, I mean, the young ladies, but they're in those pieces. That's part of their conversation. How do you track? How do you find the adult ladies? They have a whole, if I meet a dude and I get two facts about him, I can do a reverse phone lookup and da 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 da. And I laugh at all. I laugh at it all. I'm like, the hell, y'all are better than the FBI. I mean,
Yeah.
really, and they are.
Honestly.
But I'm like, but okay, but you have to be because of there's safety and life concerns. She-Hulk actually hit on this in that first episode, which I thought was really dope.
Oh, really? I started like 5 minutes and then I got distracted and had to do something else.
It's a good watch. The CG might throw you. CGI might throw you a little bit here and there because there's some frame drops that are like, but but as a whole, they held closer to the comic than you would think they could do in a lot of respects. Slash adjusted to today.
Yeah.
But the things that women have to deal with are in a literal different world than we do. So when we're playing with this tech and we're thinking about what works and what doesn't work, the ladies Roe versus Wade, and they were all like, okay, take your information out of this period tracking app and maybe use this one instead, and don't use this and do use that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wait, there's a
Scary.
whole world of, yes, wearables help, but the complications and the ramifications of it, those are the things that and talk about being ahead and being in the front and hitting those things first, that I enjoy
Mm.
running into, asking the questions about being there, because then that allows us to lead with compassion where it's really needed, to lead with curiosity, rather than just leading with product discovery, because those two are two totally different trains. And then, where we have the opportunity to coach up other folks or coach up other teams, then we can really be an agent of change in that wise, because it's not just Antoine uses a couple of iPads. Well, he uses a couple of iPads because he can scribble his ideas much faster than you can type. And if you can scribble faster than you can type, we can get from imagination to concept to doable reality really fast.
Yeah.
And actually reduce some of that friction, which is inherent in making a decision. And we can get to the decisions that matter, decisions that hopefully elevate or maybe even stop the worst from happening. So.
Yeah, that was a hell of a process you packed in right there. I mean, that was one, two, three, four, five, and you just went all the way from like insight, design, discovery,
Mm-hmm.
implementation, organization. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
So true. So true.
it is. I'm done being slow. I think, and it was around the time of meeting you. Actually, I remember saying this. It's like, man, these people don't move fast enough. And then it was like, oh wait, Antoine, your brain works differently. Well, you got to slow down. I was like, no, don't slow down.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah, just embrace it.
Just go.
Just embrace it. I mean, honestly, man, the thing I found is like cycle times. Like the faster you can get iteration and cycle times, like the better the better outcomes, because like you're doing, I mean, it's just like real time testing. And I mean, if you're anything like me, which I think you probably are, you have your user conversations in your head having the argument with yourself until you like iterate into the spot that sort of like feels okay. Then you go test that thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and that's
Yeah.
why you ride the bike, because it's happening while you're riding the bike and you're like, oh shit, I just went 10 miles. Like what year is this? You know? Like, did the star systems change? Like, I think I warped somewhere. I did that this week. It was weird, man. It was like time is a funny, funny thing. It's a funny thing.
Time is oh man, I was reading, was it last week's? It might have been in last week's. Somebody was talking about time, and it was about the perception of time is actually controllable. They were talking towards that, I think,
Hmm.
which made me go ooh, and I was like,
Yeah,
all right,
I love that.
I have to be careful of rabbit holes. I went to a rabbit hole yesterday. Brian Romel, he posted a thing about a map, and I went on a whole tangent about islands. And
There's the
I got
afternoon.
Gate of the Gods as a bookmark. I got
Yep.
maps of Antarctica that have no ice that are from the 1500s. I'm like, what the heck? This is cool. I got to be careful of tangents, but
Do you have
but
like
yeah,
the red strings and the sticky things, like, and then that's why the background's blurry, is because you don't want to see the
that's
inside
what
of
my
my
head
brain,
looks
man.
like. My head looks like the back. The head looks like the red strings. I do have whiteboards all over. I actually got to rewrite one whiteboard.
I love that. I
I
need to
use an
get one of those.
application now called Muse because of that.
Yeah,
And
right.
Muse, was it Heroku, one of the guys who did Heroku. Him and his team, Ink and Switch. They had a concept for an idea. Um, they had a concept for an idea of a tablet first personal idea space. So think notebook, and they thought thoroughly around. You have a pen, pencil,
Hmm.
and you have your tablet. What does the canvas enable? And I'm reading their research, and I'm like, yo, give me the app yesterday. Email them, yo, where's your beta? Hell, give me your alpha. Yes, Muse app is it. And
Yeah, got it. It's a
they
dope
eventually
website.
came out with the product and actually spun out Muse from Ink and Switch. And it's it's a measurably dope space because it's not the notepad, it's not Apple Notes,
Yeah,
but it's similar. It's not Good Notes, Evernote, but it's similar. It's not Mural, OneNote, Evernote, but
yeah,
it's similar. It's similar and it's not, because it's coming from the other end of, okay, what are you personally thinking about, and how are you taking that personal thought space before it becomes something you stick into a collaborative space or product space, da da da. And with Muse, I've like watched my brain actually finally get to the iPad as a canvas and actually be, oh yeah, let's walk through this spatial interface because it's all boards, it's all space. Okay, we got a board over here, content here, and I'm doing this all day. That was used to be my demo of folks. They come, plug the iPad to a monitor, do the Minority Report thing, and swing. Yeah. You know, yeah, wow, that looks like the future. I'm like, it can't be the future. I'm doing it in front of you. The question is, why isn't the rest of what we do fitting with our brain, fitting with the way that we work? And now we've seen craft and Notion and other, you know, items that have actually kind of clicked. It's kind of clicked for folks like, wait, we need to build software around the way that we think, not think around the way that we build the software. And those kind of things have allowed for those connections for me, those connectomes to really just like kind of extra just pop. And so now it's fun. It's absolutely fun. So between Muse and MindNode, because I'll mind map something in a heartbeat. If once it gets past the Antoine idea phase, I'll mind map the mess out of it. And that's actually part of my teaching techniques now. It's like, hey, can we mind map this? Can we get to some goals, issues, and resources and hear what it is that we're aiming for? Do we know what connects to these items? Do we have some sense of the space of it, of the shape of it? And that map ends up weirdly enough, that map usually answers everybody else's questions. You know, I'm helping them make a map, not necessarily solving their problems anymore, which I think that's the route, you know.
Yeah, it's like just like show you visually what you're describing and play it back to you, and you're just like, whoa, magic. It reminds me a lot of like Brett Victor. I don't know if you've dealt with like inventing on principle, but the thing I'm super duper excited about, and you're 100% right on these like crude tools, is three-dimensional space where we can build ideas as physical three-dimensional spatial objects in front of us and play with concepts in a collaborative, co-located environment. So you and me in a room, and we both got the glasses on, and we're messing around with like, here's a triangle which represents this concept, and we're literally connecting the triangle to the square and energizing it because it's software as well. And like I think with some of the other tools like AI in there and like being able to pull up research information and plug it in there, like we just have to get to that space, because I want to build Tron, but in terms of tools, so we can build on the tools, you know, like a physical space, not of furniture, but of ideas. Which is nuts to think about. Like, can you sit in a chair that is like how to connect two concepts together? Like, what does that even mean? Like, that's weird and random. It's like we need a better way to create and interact with tools. Like, we're working with hammers trying to build a skyscraper, and it's like
it's not the right. It's no longer the right tool. We're for the thing that we're trying to do. It's no longer. And so I guess my friend says I'm being nicer these days about it. I'm not really nice, but I'm being nicer these days.
Controlled.
I don't think the mouse and keyboard was an excellent long-term direction, because it takes that indirect manipulation, takes us away from finding better tools. Now, that doesn't mean that keyboard isn't optimized for a certain type space of input. It doesn't mean mouse isn't optimized when you don't think about certain, you know, insets, or mouse, or if you will, controller surface isn't. But there's something about direct input that's a different part of your brain. And that's where, for me, with Muse, compared to like all of the other notes programs, made a difference. Because Muse forced me to go, and I say forced, it was just like, hey, you want to use your fingers on your left hand while you're drawing with your right hand. Yes, I do. I want to use most of my digits. I don't want to have a tablet and literally be constrained to 3 fingers and that's all I can use, because that's thinking like a mouse. That's thinking like a keyboard. I want to use 10 fingers. And hell, I can use my palms if I want to. And
Yeah.
it starts to get into that space of, okay, now I can work in space. I can pull content in, 2 fingers to, to kick it away, or zoom, not zoom. I've got all the multitasking gestures, da 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 da. But it's like, okay, well, once I have this, then what? Well, it's up to me to pull the idea into space and then do something with it. Now it's less me dealing with the tool and it's more me dealing with my ideas. And that shape of work, that shape of computing, that shape of augmented space. Yeah, I'm agree with you. We ain't there, but we could have been there. You know, to Engelbart's words, we should have been there 40 years ago.
True. But
you
I
know,
will say, like, I'll give our species credit. Look, like, we've got 5 billion people on the internet now. We've got almost everybody has some type of phone. I mean, obviously we have third world issues we got to deal with, but we're
no,
connecting.
no, they have phones. It's
Yeah.
not the third world. They got phones.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, we've got people connected, we've got devices, we're getting access to each other and information. Now we're dealing with the consequence of pulling back the veneer on everybody and like everyone what they really think is coming out at scale. And now the species is trying to deal with the fact that like everybody has an opinion. And like we knew it, but we weren't confronted with it until Facebook. And it's like, oh damn, I thought I knew you, and like I don't know you now. And
Well, yeah, man.
so it's like it had to happen, and maybe it happened in the right way because what if we had better tools and it allowed maybe it would accelerate too fast where it's like that it's the old thing like why have we not heard of another species from any other planet or system, and like it's the great filter essentially, and like maybe we're going at the right speed. It's like trees that grow too fast or weak and
Mm-hmm.
their trunks aren't as strong. We trees that grow slowly are strong and last for hundreds of years. So I'm going to be positive and say maybe it's a good thing. I don't know though. Maybe
I
the
got it.
internet hurts
All I know
everybody.
is that we're doing a really crappy job of imitating mushrooms. That's what I put our connectivity as. We're doing a horrible job of
Yeah.
imitating mushrooms. And I got my plants next to me right here, and they're probably laughing at me in plant language.
Like the
You
slime
know,
mold stuff kind of thing.
well, no, I mean, we should, in taking from the trees and taking from myceliums and mushrooms, what have you, fungi. Yeah, there is we're trying to be like that. That I think, okay, cool. As a species, I don't want to say hive mind, but we want to be this interdependent brainage of stuff. But like every good virus, where some parts of us are not quite developed and some parts are way out of control.
Boy, truth, facts,
you know, um,
facts, man.
but that's I think that's also where being on the on the edges of experimentation with devices, services, processes, procedures also is it ends up being helpful, sometimes hurtful. It's like, okay, hey, I look back at some old work of mine, old work, and I'm reading. I'm like, dang, I had the basis for human centered design way back in 2001, 2002. I didn't know that.
Yeah. There wasn't
But
a
then
name for it. There wasn't a name.
there really wasn't a name. I mean, there was
Yeah.
human factors, but it wasn't, human. Okay, cool. But then it was like, wait, I shifted. I shifted from human face design to humane design, to totally different thoughts. Almost nobody talks about what does it mean to be humane? Human centered design is 100% business lingo and a good slice of, oh crap, we forgot we messed up, so we need to get better. Humane actually looks at, oh crap, what are the implications of us not actually caring for one another when we do this?
Right.
Which is that next step. That's
Yeah.
that, when a tree in my Norfolk evergreens that have been ever dead for the last 2 years, when they died, it was like, well, I'm watching the big one that was resilient die. And I'm like, oh wow. And then whatever it got sick with passed to the small ones. I'm like, That's tree centric, tree main, I was like, human-centered design would have said, just move the pot.
Yeah.
That's sick. And the other one should be okay. Humane design says, no, even if you move it, the others are going to be affected because they talk.
Yeah.
So what things do you put in place? What things do you take away? How do you put how do you put boundaries around your time so that you can, and you got an hour in between meetings, go for a walk. You can walk
Yeah.
for 45 minutes and just clear your head in between me. Well, I can't leave. You can leave the desk.
Yeah.
It's your home. Get
Yeah.
outside.
You have agency over yourself. Like they do not have power over you. You have power over yourself. Like
Yeah.
take that walk. I'm a big firm believer in that for sure.
Yeah.
Take
And
that
so
walk.
it's like when you think of humane design and or life-centered design, as Monica will call it, we're now thinking less about, okay, let's just build it because we can build it and test it because
Yeah.
we can test it. Well, let's actually go through the whole thought experiment of what if we did? What if we didn't? Who's helped? Who's hurt? What narrative can we not escape about this? What narrative should we escape if we do this? Um, okay, now forget the money. Do we do it because it's humane or do we not? And you can't ask questions like that. I was like, well, you can and you should, and we should explore. And that's why we have really great comic book artists and sci-fi folks and speculative fiction folks, because we can have and pull on them. Hey, can we explore this thing? What if this thing was like this? So we might spend the money on it, but we might test it in a different way. We can test
Right.
the money on Tron because we've got a few movies and a few books. We've tested it. We know what our visceral reaction is to, we don't want to be here, we want to be here. So
So true.
it's taking those pieces, and I'm hoping over the next I've got a project starting next week, starting on next week. I'm hoping to add a bit of that kind of push into how this particular company thinks, not just about engineering and software development, but okay, they're doing it for organizational agencies. I was like, okay, cool. How do we pull that in? That's not human centered. That's being humane.
Yeah.
And we're going to go sketch an approach that if it doesn't work, the really cool part is if it doesn't work, we actually learn the right lesson. And if it does work, we learn the right lesson. The
Yeah.
only way we don't learn the
Win-win.
lesson is if we don't approach it in this manner. And that's the thing behind my, using the spectacles and the auras and the NFC rings. It's you've got to find the stories, the things to pull on. Um, there's a ledger wallet sitting around here, and not and a paper wallet and all that good fun stuff. No, that's all. It's play with. I play with all of those things. I
Yeah,
play with,
right.
but it's like, let's play. Let's see what happens if, and then at the same time seeing what happens if. What are the implications if not? And the implications can be huge. If I'm in those regions that agency online really doesn't exist, some of this stuff really matters.
And you know what you just invented is AOL 2.0, agency online.
Well, yeah, that's just it. I think somebody said, man, the internet's getting polluted. I was like, what can we do about it? I'm like, you can technically just unplug the servers. It'll all go away. I mean,
Yeah.
every data center can just be unplugged. They all work via the same. Just really just unplug them.
Or don't look at your phone. You don't look at your phone.
Well, I don't even I don't even have a don't look at my phone moment, because somebody said, "Hey, Antoine, is there any time you don't look at your phone?" I was like, I almost never look at my phone, but I got two tablets and a watch. I'm looking at those all the
Yeah.
time.
Just different size screens.
You're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I said, being connected doesn't mean being overwhelmed. You've got to figure out, and everybody's got to figure out what their Shannon limit is. You got 41 bits of information you can take in. Well, what does that limit look like? And you got to live within that rather than trying to extend yourself out of that. And if, as I used to say to my team, I was like, y'all can't possibly process as fast as I am. I've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
You're not. Here's the thing that you can do: take notes. I don't care how you take notes, just take notes.
I
Well, who's
still
taking?
I still do it. I'm 41 years old. I've been taking my own notes on every call since I was a kid.
Yeah,
Like you learn 10 times faster, and then you have a resource to go back to when you're forgetting something. You go over those
exactly.
notes and you're like, ah, there we go. There it is.
Exactly, because that's where the connections happen. I think, and the sleep book that I read, Queen of Sleep, was her moniker. Woman, she was at the head of sleep research, and she talked about, um, we think there's a problem with creativity, ethical creativity, because folks aren't getting enough REM sleep. And I go,
True.
wait. She isolated it to a stage. I was like, wait, and the whole book was a whole thing of sleep and what they've learned and not learned and da 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 da. And I was like, wait, REM sleep is important. I was like, wait, but most folks don't activate REM sleep unless medically induced, and they get past the deep sleep and they can get in there, or their body basically starts to shut down and say, we need to clean ourselves.
Mm.
We got to dream. We've got
Yeah.
to dream. We got to dream. And so I'm looking back at my aura ring, and I'm like, man, my REM sleep is like jacked up. I'm like sleeping the way I should. And then I'm comparing to some friends, and I'm like, okay, hey, life circumstance. I'm like, wait a minute, all you married dudes, y'all get a lot of REM sleep. Your wives cause you to dream that much? What are you running away from?
Deep cuts. Deep cuts.
But at
Wait,
the
so what
same,
did you do? What did you do to like get more REM sleep? That's
I
hugely
had to
valuable.
I had to actually adjust my sleep time.
Like
Back
early?
it up by about an hour. So instead of like 11, I had to do like no later than 10:30. And I had to stay in bed um, for the duration of the last dream cycle, because sometimes I would shut it short. I would have to actually finish the last dream cycle.
Hmm.
And oh wow, measurable improvement.
Could you feel it, or was it just the ring? You could feel it. Yeah, you could
Mhm.
tell.
Yeah. Because so the problem with a lot of folks is that we actually don't listen to our body to
Hmm.
wake up. We listen to it to go to sleep. Sometimes we ignore the first two yawns, because there's a yawn. There's a yawn slash energy drop, temperature drop that happens about like 90 minutes to 2 hours before you're ready to go to sleep. It's your body basically saying, hey, guess what? Shut it down. You need to do whatever you need to do. Just shut it down.
Go to the bathroom, get to bed. It's time.
And then you
Put
get
your
you
little
get the
hat
yawn.
on.
Yeah, man, you gotta get to sleep. But when you're asleep, there's a natural waking moment. There's natural crest where we can wake up and we feel
Yeah.
refreshed. We've completed the night. Da 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 da. Our mind has washed itself clean. I was cutting mine off
Hmm.
by waking up the way I was, and it's like, oh, okay, where's that happening? Roughly, where's that happening? And what eventually happened, and it's happened beautifully, gracefully over time, I'm now waking up with the sun,
Yeah.
which was actually the thing that my body, it was like, hey, listen, I need you to wake up with the sun. You don't necessarily need to get out of bed, but you need to be awake with the sun. And so the sun comes up, those points in the late spring, early summer, where the sun comes up over here at 5:30 in the morning. I'm pissed off. Like, the hell, man?
Get
I don't want to
outside.
be awake. But that's at the end of the crest, and that's where the dreams are completed at that point. And that the REM sleep is actually, oh wow, I'm hitting REM the way I need. Oh, okay, cool. I'm seeing the heart rate drop where it needs to, da 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 da. From a quantitative end, I'm seeing the numbers to validate, oh, wow, I'm actually in the spot that I need to be to actually wake up. And
Yeah.
so let me
So
continue that.
right.
And those pieces, and that's supposed to be an Alzheimer's, prevention method, AKA get good sleep in your 40s and you don't get Alzheimer's in your 60s. Oh,
That's
word?
I never heard that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so the study was done primarily with women because guys don't live that long. Um,
Yeah, it sucks.
oh, another thing. But it was Alzheimer's. Onset of Alzheimer's was actually pointed to a lack of sleep, a lack of a full night's sleep of women in their 40s.
Hmm.
Part of the study actually traced it to what the women were doing in their 20s, which I thought was hella dope.
Which
And
was
I'm like, wait,
what?
wait, wait, wait. I'm
What were
like,
they
hold
doing
up,
in their 20s?
partying all night, da 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 da.
Well, we're all
But
screwed then. Like we're all done. Like we're gonna have to cut out college and youth for that. Says yeah, like
but it was so interesting. It was like, but these ladies, they said the women started recognizing that they couldn't do a full night's sleep in their 40s and hormonal menopause, da 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 da, for them. But it was because this happened, and now they got used to the stress of not sleeping.
oh man.
It led to the buildup that caused Alzheimer's in their 60s, 70s, 80s. And I'm like, what?
It's like plaque in your brain that hasn't been cleaned out from just sleep. It's like the broom that just says
It's
like comes in every night and it's like just cleaning up shop.
you got to get the sleep. So I learned that, and I'm going to my mom like, are you sleeping during the night? She's like, of course not. I wake up at 2 in the morning. I'm wide awake, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, Antoine. How do you plan for a parent that may get Alzheimer's if these are some of the things? How do you plan? How do you build the home? Legal things. Now, here again, wearable technology comes in. We get mom the Apple Watch. Hey, mom, I want you to monitor. Have you monitor your heart rate. We'll get notes if things are awry, you fall, or things of that sort. But I need to get you on regular motion, get you tired.
Yeah.
You're retired now. Your job is to go to the YMCA and just exercise with the girls.
Yeah. I think it's just all so connected, right? I mean, it's like my chiropractor said, motion is lotion, right? Like that's the best thing you can do. Just motion is lotion, stretching fine. Like just getting up, standing up, walking. The exercise, right? It just cleans out your mind, your body. It gets you more tired so you can have a better night's sleep. It processes food better, makes you hungry, you taste the food better, your metabolism kicks up. And then the system, it's like this gamification thing, like
Yep.
create boosts and it starts you feel better. I mean, I'll tell you just personally, man, like the last couple years when COVID went, I went really hard into work mode, like nonstop, like building multiple companies at the same time. And I just got to this place where it was just like pure and utter burnout. I couldn't do it anymore. Like I had, I mean, I wasn't drinking a lot, but I was like drinking, I wasn't exercising, and I had exercised my whole life. And I finally just got to the point at like my 41st birthday in May, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, you have the things that society says you should have, and it's like, but none of it means anything, and it's just like doesn't feel good. And I just said, all right, we're done here. And just like wiped the board clean. And I haven't had a drop alcohol since. I've been exercising regularly. I've had the Apple Watch, so I've seen the trend line and everything's kicked up by like 50 or 100%. And everything is improved. Everything's improved. And like you're younger, you feel better, you're happier, like you engage with other people better, you're healthier, you're more creative, you can do more, it doesn't feel as bad, like your
All of the
quality goes
above. All
up.
of the above.
And so it's like, why wouldn't you? And I think it's a mental block.
Oh no, it's 100% a mental block. But it's so the mental block is that I'll be okay or I can do it later.
Yeah.
You
Later
know,
tomorrow.
there's
Yeah, I'll do it
tomorrow. There's the
tomorrow.
I don't know how. So I'm in a unique. I've been in a pretty unique posture. I was working with one company. I left them in October of last year, and I took 2 months off.
Yeah.
And I had never been in a financial spot where I could take 2 months off of a company
Right.
and just be like, fine. I was like,
I feel
fine,
you.
whatever,
I
do whatever I
feel
want.
that. Yeah.
Kids getting Christmas gifts. All the guy kids got great Christmas gifts. I was like, great. I was like, damn, I've not been like this ever. But then it was like, well, the 2 months are over, and I'm like, yo, hey, there's a shape of work that I actually see that's a lot better. Let me do this.
Yeah.
And so it was like, hey, kick back up with Avance. I filed the business paperwork finally with the state. So it was extra official. They will be
Like
taxing me like crazy this year.
comes last. Yeah.
But it was like, okay, well, what are you doing? Well, you wake up in the morning, up at the I'm up, rough sunrise. I get 30, 40 minutes of I'm just a slow starter. Then I do my yoga.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no meetings before yoga. There's no talking to people before yoga. And I know if I'm late doing yoga because the trash truck comes. If I'm not doing it by that point, then I'm late because we're roughly at the same time. I was like, okay, cool. And then it's, on with the day. And some of the days is, okay, look, we're going to go bike to the cafe. Okay, which cafe? Or I'm going to go sit with one of my mentors. We bike, we go to a cafe or we go to breakfast like we did this morning, and we sit, we chat for a few hours, and then we go on with the day. And it's, wait, the shape of work is looking like, hey, you're doing intentional for you, you're setting your mind, you have a time of collaboration, you got exercise or movement in between, then you got time of collaboration. What I've done like this time of the day for me is just be out of the sun. I would like to be outside, but the UV's high. It's like, take care of your skin, don't be outside. Okay, cool. But then come 4:30, it's, hey, it's time to go for that walk or go for that ride. Let's transition. And that shape of work has merited all of these kind of, oh, that's what you've been thinking, Antoine. Oh, that's what you want to explain. Here's how you can help folks go. Oh, Afonso's easy. I can help you go forward because now, to quote my 24-year-old mentee, I want to work like you do. The hell you want to do this for? This is hard.
Right. I'm still trying to work like I work. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. But she's like, but she's like, you have a flow to it, and your flow doesn't look as stressful as I said, oh, I see what you see. Let's help you create the shape of life that works for you. Now, you're not going to be me, but let's create the shape of life that works for you. And I think for a lot of us that's on this edge, whether it's tech or behavior, we have a shape of living that grants us a kind of agency to live, a freedom to live. That is what we should be doing. We should be expanding our knowledge and expanding our connections. But a lot of folks get stuck, and it's a mental block, and we might get stuck in the being like everyone else. Can you say you're 41? I'm 43, and I've still not done the wife and kids thing yet. And it's like, man, I've done a wife and kid. I've got friends whose kids are going to college. I'm like, wait, your kids are going to what? Oh man, I'm really behind. And it's like, well, but am I really behind? I mean, I spent 12 years doing a magazine that actually helped a whole lot of people out. Well, maybe I'm not behind. I just went in reverse of everybody else. Y'all are going this way in the road. I'm doing this way. Okay, cool. Benjamin Button style. I'm just getting younger, And
there's no rules. There's no rules of this thing. And honestly, I feel you with the work cadence thing. Like that's the spot that I found. And it feels like you're in the right cadence when it doesn't feel like work and you could do it forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like a different feeling than I think most people are used to, which is like shove as much coffee as possible down your throat and army crawl to your work and just like grit your teeth through it and then collapse at the end of the day, which is like, that's no way to live for 20,
at all.
40, 50, 60, 70 years. You
gotta
find
way to live
a way
for
out.
1 year.
Yeah. You gotta find a way out. Like if it takes a pay cut, like work smarter, not harder, like get a different thing, like a better environment, like a better team, a better culture, and like just find a way out.
Well, it's find a way out. But I mean, I was talking to the waitress this morning, and actually, we're going to talk later on. She was like, I'm just tired of the 9 to 5 thing. And I was like, okay, I hear you. But if all things were paid, if all your bills were paid, all things that you just woke up in the morning and did what you do, what would you do?
Right. What do you do with your time?
That's the lottery question, like you won the lottery. What exactly would you do? And so many folks are like, well, I would travel. I'm like, no. That's not the right answer.
After that,
what would you do? You're going to go to this new place. Are you going to bring them smallpox, or are you going to, just buy all the touristy stuff? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? That's mean to say bring them smallpox. It's true, but it's mean. But it's like, hey, and folks are like, well, I really don't know. I was like, at the end of the day, you've got to make your imprint on this world, because we don't have time. And in the pantheon, that is eternity. And thank you, James Webb Telescope, for showing us just how little time that we really, 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 really don't have. You have like that much of a moment. And so what are you going to do with this speck, this breath, this piece of light, this piece of stardust that we are? What are we going to do? And man, I've been scared, excited to help other people kind of, figure that out, whether it's a small thing of, hey, we're trying to do diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, that's nice, but why? That's why. I was like, but why? Why? What exactly does that, how does that forward what you do in this world and what the imprint is? Or the other groups that say, hey, I want to play with XYZ tech. One of my other mentees, he just picked up the NFC ring because he's like, yo, the whole business card thing you do when you made me tap your ring is so cool. And I'm like, okay, cool. But you got to understand, I'm older than you. You have to, what I'm doing is your floor. You have to imagine better. Yeah. So what can you imagine better than this? And he's like, oh. Yeah. All right, I see you. I was like, good. Come.
Springboard.
Yeah.
Bounce off.
If we can build lives that do that, will this world get better? Moment by moment, yeah. Is it still gonna be crap? Yeah, there it is. But man, I can't help but say, okay, in this time, let's be the right agent. Let's use the freedoms, the activity, this moment. We were born in this time. We weren't born earlier. Thankfully for me, I wasn't born later. Probably also thankful for folks. I'm here. What can we do in this moment that creates the right dent, the right steps, so that folks can, go forward? And that doesn't mean we have to have the answers. You know what I mean? The United States of America can turn into the 11 countries of America for all I care. But of the people in them, are we building towards a sustainable, equitable, usable world that treats people as people and not as resources, that embraces, we're connected, but we're going to be more like Mycelium, and we're going to be more like the tree roots, and we're going to be a little less like sand. Sand is connected, but sand is kind of abrasive when it connects. So what can we do around that? I think it's possible, and I think the platform I'm shaping with Avance allows me to be a part of that, to connect with yourself and others who are doing that, and just whatever forward looks like. What does it look like for us to pick that knee up and take the next step forward? Let's do it. And then from there, we can answer the questions of, okay, we took the step forward. What did we step in? We stepped in poo. We need to turn it into energy.
So nobody has to anymore. Yeah, I think that's it, man. I think the first step is people need to step into their own shoes and just do that inner work to figure out like what gets me going.
Yeah.
What make me good with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then if there's enough of us that are like cool with me as me, each of us are going to have like very unique perspectives, skills, experience that when those small world networks come together, magic will happen organically from the center of all of that. That's what I'm really excited about. And that's what I can't, it's like sometimes people like us, we can see a few steps ahead because we're in it and we know where it's going and we also build part of it. But that's the piece that's just completely blind on the other side, because you don't know what comes out of that. It can be pretty cool. That's what I'm excited about. Like in the next 5-10 years, who knows?
It could be cool. It could be scary. All I know is that I want to be. I don't want to be on the side watching. That's for darn sure. Now I'm not the builder that I wish I was. I would love to be the coder that I really would. If I can imagine myself to be, that would be great, because that other NFC ring would be doing things that y'all have no clue what I have in my back pocket as imagining. I got stuff. You know,
That's why you just need like a really hot engineer to sit next to you, and then
you know
like
anybody that knows some Java. You know anybody that knows Java ME and Java OS and knows how to program a ring. We can chat because I got the thought.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
I
man. I mean, that's
that,
that's
that
why
you know
I'm doing that's honestly why I'm doing this stuff
yeah.
because I forget, like I don't even know. I forget everybody that, I've come across in work situations over the last couple decades. And this is why I'm doing this to bring that stuff out and start, instead of connecting dots, connect people so new
Mm-hmm,
dots can emerge and
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
crazy shit can come that can help people. And that's what I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm doing it and people are starting to like, I see it happening. It's like a pew, pew, pew,
Yeah,
like
man.
real slow, just like real slow. It's like tink, tink. And it's early. We're like 2 weeks in. And this, yeah, I'm excited for like 2 years in. It's gonna be like pew 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 pew.
That's why I'm amped. I mean, that's why I'm amped on all of fun on all of this, and I'm also a little sober minded as well because I understand, um, in my position, I'm at hella blessed. Um, you know, I'm man, I've been invited into places that I had no business being invited into, and
You did the
uh,
work though, man. You put in the hours, you did the work, you did the
I did,
thought. The
I
thinking is
did.
the thought. You bought the rings, you thought about it, you used them, right? Like
Yeah,
you put in the work. That's the
yeah.
difference. You put in the work. And
Well,
you
at
were
this,
there when the work was like, hey, I don't know anything about this. And you were like, oh, well, that's just da 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 da.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
and
because you
that's just
spent
it.
years,
Years.
years.
I was telling a friend of mine, he was poking me about, about an item. I was like, oh man, that group still exists? Man, I remember when they were just babies and they were doing da 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 da. He was like, oh, you know about them? I was like, well, I'm kind of responsible for them. Let me point you to this. And he was like, wait, what all have you done? I was like, oh. There's this trail on the internet where if you actually know how to follow it, there's this road. And it's like, and I thought about it. I sat there and was like, wow, I've actually done a lot of stuff. Oh, okay, cool. All right, what else we want to do? What else we want to invent?
Yeah,
You
what's
know,
next?
what else? I've got my email server sitting next to this iPad. Okay, well, my email server is sitting next to my iPad. Yeah, why not? Why not host your own email? I used to host my own website on a
Yeah.
phone. So that was, and
Fun.
I miss doing that. God, I miss doing that.
Yeah, that's it right there, man. It's like go back so you can go forward and like, oh, this
Yeah.
is kind of interesting. Let's see what comes out of this. Some
Yeah.
weird remix.
Something weird, something possible, something impossible. And it's funny, it's even less for me is as much, I mean, my niece and my nephew, they're oh, uncle, you're doing that? We want to do it with you. I'm like, oh yes, I messed with them. Yes. Goddaughter just got an Apple Watch. I'm like, ooh, yeah. I'm like, she has no clue what she has on her wrist, but we're gonna walk right on through. We're gonna walk through all of the school likes it, doesn't like it, calculator, talk Siri talking to you in class, right? Yeah. Okay, let's make sure you got your AirPods. So we can definitely do the calculator in the class, kind of moment. You can't use your calculator in class. Why not? Y'all got TI-83s. I got Siri.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
It really, and then whatever she invents, because she's phenomenal. God, she's phenomenal. So helping that group who, man, I mean, we think it's crazy. All right, we think it's crazy the kids who were born in 97, 98 who don't know the world without the internet, right? But my niece is 10.
Yeah.
It's not just not know the world without the internet. She doesn't know a world without an iPad based internet.
Yeah. It's like you're born, here's your standard issue iPad and your internet and your Instagram.
Yeah. So it's like when she says, I want to get on Snap. And I'm like, whoa, pause. Help me understand what you're trying to do.
Mhm.
Because I know what it does. I know as an architect.
Yeah, I know why
Exactly
it
what that
was
meant.
invented.
I know why. Yeah, exactly. I was like,
Yeah.
look, help me understand. Help me understand what you and your friends are trying to do, and why the heck are your friends on that anyway? And then it's like, oh man, we got to have the conversation. Yeah, we got to have the conversation. The conversation. I got to have that with my godsons as well. We did. I did a conversation back some years back when I worked at a Y that sat a couple kids down with their parents, and I said, "Here's what you don't share on your phones."
Yeah.
And I was very explicit with the wording, and I was deliberately explicit with the wording. It's like, here's what you don't do because here's the rules in this state for if this is found. Kids looked at me with that. Why would you
Yeah.
say it in front of my parents? I was like, yeah. Parents looking at me like, wait, they do this? I'm like, the heck, y'all used to do it too. What the heck?
Yeah.
It's just on a phone versus a magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of peering at the pay-per-view with your squinty eyes, now they're just looking at
Remember
Snapchat.
the snow? Yeah, the snow. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it's helping folks say, okay, hey, but these are the implications of using this. We can go forward.
Hmm.
We can enable some really cool stuff. And there's some hella dangerous stuff. I mean, the oldest industries in the world, sex and drugs, ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, that's for sure. And taxes.
Texas isn't really as old as those guys, though. I mean, well, yeah, you can argue. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I
I
guess,
mean,
yeah.
even like seeds and grain, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
There was
death
the
and
gangsters
taxes,
and
man.
taxes. Gangsters and taxes is kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, let me go to Samurai. Let me go to Seven Samurai. It's about time to go watch that again.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but hey, I know we spent 4 hours plus chatting, man. You and I can do this like forever. Um, I mean, yeah, no, I enjoy these moments, and I enjoy these kind of connects because like folks like yourself spark me to be better, be wiser, and then just keep experimenting. Um,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
debating whether it's a Microsoft Duo that I'm going to play with because I really need to get around the whole folding phone kind of thinking. There's
I like
something about transformative glass
it.
that's next on the list.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's rad. I want to get one. Yeah. I don't know when.
Keeps
I would
I
just play
keeps
with it a little bit, but I can't get out of the Apple ecosystem.
That's the kind of the other. Well, I need something that's out of the Apple ecosystem ish.
To test
So
it.
I still have a Sailfish OS tablet and phone. I just updated them last night. I was like, wow, that old platform still exists. Oh, cool. This is great. All right. And this is like it's like the Android supported platform that's not Android that was funded by Eastern Europe. I was like, oh yeah, let me go play with this some more and see if anything's changed. And that's today's homework to see if anything's changed and what hasn't, and how has the Android ecosystem adopted to America Android, Google versus global Android, which is not Google mobile services enabled, which might be Chinese services or Yannick's and Russian side or. So I'm curious. And then there's the material you side of things.
Yeah.
This adaptive idea of an adaptive interface, and that being the interface language for things beyond phones and wearables.
Mm.
It's like, okay, so well, what do y'all want to do? What does Meta want to do? And Unity Engine, what are y'all really plotting on doing? Is this all like silicon drugs to make us go to another world? You know? I mean, we could have just stayed with psychedelics and just ran the random machine, like but whatever.
Click the record button. Well, cool, man. It's been wonderful catching up. Let's do this again. And
Yes, yeah.
yeah, keep the contacts coming. Appreciate you sending over that stuff yesterday. I still haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I'll
The
dig in.
newsletter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
she,
Keep her
uh, she liked a
newsletter.
couple tweets, so I'm
She's
gonna
got some stuff. She dove in and out of some
compound.
stuff. I was really
Yeah.
intrigued.
I knew a dude at Compound VC like many years ago in the Prom days, but yeah, she seems highly capable and intelligent. So I need to like chat with her a little bit, I think.
Cool.
Cool, man. All right.
All right,
Have a
man.
great weekend.
You too as well. You too as well. Enjoy that Cali sun. Kind of jealous.
Tennessee now. I haven't been in Cali for a
Wait, you're in
couple.
Tennessee?
Yeah,
Really?
I'm in
Oh
Nashville
my God.
area.
Nashville? That's not even a 2 hour flight.
I
Oh
know. We
man.
need to get together in person at some point. I'm gonna do a road show. I'm just gonna start traveling around the US a little bit like later this year after I get some stuff done.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
stop
Yeah.
by.
If you're passing
Maybe,
between anywhere between
yeah,
DC and Philly, I'm probably there. Probably, and
yeah.
I'm trying to make an escape from Florida after after a hurricane season, just to die, just throw my brain near the Gulf / the Atlantic. But
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll do a train like from New York or something, and then we'll spend an afternoon or something together and plot against the world.
sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan.
Cool.
All right,
All right, man. Thanks so much for taking the time. I'll chop up, make an edit or whatever, and yeah, if there's anything you feel like you don't want shared, just let me know.
share it
And
all. Share it all.
yeah,
Nah, I didn't say anything that's not shareable. That's
okay.
the fun part. got I've got the blind list of things that you can't say. There's
Yeah,
different.
it's like on the wall. Yeah, like George Carlin, the 7 cuss words you can't say on television or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was the
exactly.
OG, man. He was original.
Cool,
Oh,
man.
dude.
All
All
right,
right,
man. You
man.
have a
Have a
good
good
one.
weekend.
You too as well. Take care.
Talk to you. Bye.
Peace.